Hi, my name's Elin.
Hi, my name's Grace, and we're here today to help explain a slightly uncomfortable topic, private body parts.
That's right. We're going to be talking about how you can teach your children about what the private body parts are, what their names are, and a bit about what they do. Why do you think that's important, Grace?
Well, it helps keep your children safe, and it helps them understand what's happening to them and the people around them.
In knowing what the names are and having the language to talk about it, that'll help your children talk about it to you and let you know if something isn't quite right. So to show you how you can teach your children about private body parts, we're going to do a brainstorm and we're going to use these dolls and some strategies you can use so your children can learn where they are. Grace, what are the private body parts called?
Well, you have the penis, the testicles, the vulva, the vagina, the bottom, and the breasts.
Beautiful. You even got the really tricky one, vulva. Sometimes people forget about the vulva or maybe not sure what that means. The vulva is the outside private body part of females. It's the part you can see between the legs, whereas the vagina is on the inside of the body. So naming the private body parts is the first part, and maybe your child gets it all right and maybe not. That's okay, that's why they're here to learn. So now we're going to move on to using these dolls. So these are our anatomically correct teaching dolls. They're dolls for teaching purposes, so we're going to treat them like people with respect and always ask for their consent. We're going to name them as well. Grace, do you want to introduce your dolls?
Well, this is Sophie, and this is Oliver.
This is Carlos, and this is Lily.
Sophie, Oliver, is it all right if we undress you?
Carlos, Lily, is it okay if we undress you? So asking for their consent before we take their clothes off or asking their permission is a really important way to model how we should be asking people for their permission in real life.
Okay, let's take their clothes off now. Carlos has a bit of a hairy chest.
He sure does. It's quite circular, isn't it?
Yeah.
And he's got a bit of a moustache going as well.
Yeah.
What a fine looking bunch of dolls we have here.
So you might be wondering where the private body parts are.
They're here, covered by their underwear. And on those dolls too, you can see Oliver's private body parts are covered by his underwear, and Sophie's private body parts are covered by her underwear. And because she's an adult woman, she's wearing a bra.
Underwear can be very helpful for children learning where their private body parts are and what they can show people and what they can't.
It's a simple, concrete rule for your children that private body parts are covered by underwear.
Next, we're going to look at the doll's private body parts, but not before asking for consent. Sophie, Oliver, is it okay if we have a look at your body parts?
Hey Carlos, hey Lily, is it okay if we take your underwear off so we can show the parents at home how they can teach their children about private body parts? So let's take their underwear off. Grace, can you point to the private body parts on your dolls?
So for Sophie, we have the breasts, the vulva, and the bottom. For Oliver, we have the penis and testicles and the bottom.
So for Lily, she has a vulva and a bottom. And for Carlos, he has his penis and testicles and his bottom. So what's the difference between the adults' private body parts and the children's private body parts?
Well, Sophie here has breasts and pubic hair. Lily does not. And the same goes for Carlos, who has pubic hair, whereas Oliver does not. So, Elin, what's the difference between the male and female body parts?
So the females have a vagina and a vulva, and Sophie has breasts because she's an adult. The males, they both have penis and testicles. For Carlos, his penis and testicles are bigger because he's an adult. And everybody has a bottom. So if you don't have access to anatomically correct teaching dolls like these, you can also use stencils, which you'll find on our website, and there'll be instructions there on how you can do a similar activity with your child.
Now, before we finish, we need to remember to dress our dolls because they can get cold, and once they're dressed, they can go back out into public places.
Let's dress them. Now we're all ready, it's time to go out.
It's good to ask your child some questions afterwards just to make sure that they understand about private body parts. If some body parts are private, does that mean others are public?
No, none of our body parts are public. Some parts we can see in public, but whether they're our private body parts or any other part of our body, no one should be touching them unless you say it's okay.
So, is there a time when it's all right for your private body parts to be uncovered?
Yeah, of course, but you need to be in a private place and have the door closed. If you're at the beach, for example, you might have your outside clothes off, but you'd still have your swimmers covering your private body parts. Okay, so now you've seen how you can use these anatomically correct dolls to teach about private body parts. But before we leave, Grace, do you have any top tips for parents at home?
Well, try praising your child when they get something right, and if they don't, well, that's okay, they're still learning. So what about you?
Well, my top tips, I'd say start slowly, take your time, work with how your child's learning, and try to build it into sort of daily routines. So maybe when you're supporting your child to have a shower, you can talk about the private body parts then, naming them as you help your child to wash. And another thing might also be to speak to your child's teacher at school and see how they're teaching about private body parts. And if you want to see how you can teach your child about public and private places and behaviours, you can also check out the other video on our website, where we have a whole range of other videos as well.